The dark crimes of Patrick Roy shocked hockey fans worldwide when he was arrested for domestic violence in 2000. Police found damaged doors and a scared wife who called 911. But what if the real story of Patrick Roy isn't about that night at all? What if his greatest crime was being too intense for his own good? Patrick Roy was drafted 51st overall by the Montreal Canadiens in 1984. Here's the crazy part. He actually hated the Canadiens growing up. He was a Quebec Nordiques fan, their biggest rival. But hockey has a funny way of changing everything. Roy joined Montreal for the 1985-86 season as a 20-year-old rookie. Nobody expected much from the Canadiens that year. They weren't supposed to win anything. Then Roy happened. He played like a man possessed through all 4 playoff rounds. Montreal shocked everyone by beating the Calgary Flames 4-1 in the Stanley Cup Finals. Roy won the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP. He became the youngest player ever to win that award. Think about that. A rookie who hated his team just led them to a championship. That's not normal. That's the start of something legendary. This set a pattern for Roy's entire career. He didn't just win games, he transformed teams. When Patrick Roy showed up, championships followed. It was like magic, but scarier. Roy's trophy case tells an incredible story. 4 Stanley Cups, 2 with Montreal in 1986 and 1993, 2 with Colorado in 1996 and 2001, 3 Conn Smythe trophies, which is still an NHL record, 3 Vezina trophies as the league's best goaltender, 5 Jennings trophies for fewest goals allowed. When he retired in 2003, Roy held every major goaltending record: most wins, most games played, most playoff games, most playoff wins. The Hockey Hall of Fame inducted him in his first year of eligibility. Both Montreal and Colorado retired his number 33. Only 6 NHL players have had their number retired by 2 teams. But Roy's greatness went beyond stats. He had a mental edge that separated him from everyone else. He would talk to his goalposts during games, thanking them for helping with saves. He said it was all about focus. If it worked, why question it? Roy also refused to let his skates touch the red and blue lines on the ice. He would step over them instead. These quirks became part of his legend. They showed a player who controlled every detail of his game. His intensity was legendary too. During the 1996 playoffs against Florida, fans threw plastic rats on the ice. Most goalies would hide or skate away. Not Roy. He stood his ground and reportedly said, "I've got my 2 Stanley Cup rings plugged in my ears, and I don't give a rat's ass about your traditions." That quote sums up Patrick Roy perfectly. Confident, defiant, and always ready for a fight. Roy's temper became just as famous as his saves. But here's what most people miss. His anger wasn't random. It was strategic. He used it as a weapon. The perfect example happened on December 2nd, 1995. Montreal was getting destroyed by the Detroit Red Wings. Roy had already let in 9 goals. After making an easy save, he sarcastically raised his arms and applauded himself. It was humiliating for everyone involved. When coach Mario Tremblay finally pulled him from the net, Roy didn't go to the bench. He skated straight to team president Ronald Corey in the stands. In front of everyone, Roy declared, "This is my last game as a Montreal Canadien." Most people called it a meltdown. But was it really? 4 days later, Montreal traded Roy to the Colorado Avalanche. In his first season there, he led Colorado to their first Stanley Cup championship. Meanwhile, Montreal spent decades searching for their next great goalie. That trade is now considered one of the most lopsided in NHL history. Roy's meltdown completely changed 2 franchises forever. Montreal fell apart. Colorado became a dynasty. Maybe Roy's anger wasn't a weakness after all. Maybe it was genius. Now let's address the elephant in the room. That domestic violence arrest in 2000. Roy was playing for Colorado when police arrested him after a 911 hang-up call from his wife, Michelle. When officers arrived, they found bedroom doors pulled off their hinges. Michelle Roy was physically unharmed but told police she feared for her safety. Roy was charged with misdemeanor criminal mischief in the context of domestic violence. He spent a night in jail and was released on $750 bail. The case was later dismissed by a judge who said the accusations didn't meet the minimum requirements for the charges. It's important to understand what this means. A dismissal doesn't prove innocence, but it also means guilt wasn't proven beyond reasonable doubt. Patrick and Michelle divorced in 2003. The arrest created a lasting shadow on his reputation, even though he was never convicted of anything. This incident shows how public perception can be more powerful than legal outcomes. The dramatic story of the arrest stuck around longer than the quiet dismissal. After retiring as a player, Roy became a coach. He took over the Quebec Remparts in junior hockey, serving as both head coach and general manager. This dual role gave him the control he always craved. Roy found immediate success. He won the Memorial Cup championship in his first season. Over 13 seasons with the Remparts, he compiled a record of 524 wins, 255 losses, and 66 ties. Those numbers are incredible for any coach at any level, but Roy's intensity followed him behind the bench. In March 2008, during a playoff game, his son Jonathan was the Remparts goaltender. The game was a blowout, and tensions were high. Video appeared to show Patrick Roy waving from the bench, seemingly encouraging something. Moments later, Jonathan Roy skated the length of the ice and attacked the opposing goaltender, Bobby Nadeau. Nadeau didn't fight back. Jonathan then gave fans a one-finger salute. It was ugly and completely unnecessary. Roy returned to the NHL as head coach of the Colorado Avalanche in 2013. His very first game featured another confrontation. Anaheim's Ben Lovejoy made a dirty hit on Nathan MacKinnon. Roy was furious. During the ensuing argument with Ducks coach Bruce Boudreau, Roy pushed the partition between benches so hard it leaned into Anaheim's bench. Boudreau called Roy's actions Bush League and accused him of talking to opposing players. The NHL fined Roy $10,000. Despite winning his division in 2014, Roy struggled as an NHL coach. His teams had talented players but couldn't reach the next level. In 2016, he resigned, citing a lack of input in personnel decisions. Once again, Roy's need for control ended his tenure. Roy's coaching career revealed something important. His intensity worked great when he had complete authority, like in junior hockey. But in environments where he had to collaborate or compromise, he struggled. His greatest strength was also his biggest weakness. So what's Patrick Roy's real legacy? He's undoubtedly one of the greatest goaltenders in NHL history. His records and championships speak for themselves. He revolutionized the position with his aggressive style and mental approach. Roy inspired jersey numbers that goalies still use today. He started trends like pulling goalies earlier in games. He showed that confidence and intensity could be just as important as skill. But his legacy is complicated. The domestic violence arrest, even though dismissed, remains part of his story. The coaching controversies raise questions about his judgment. His need for control limited his coaching success. Here's the truth about Patrick Roy. He was never meant to be ordinary. His intensity created both his greatest triumphs and his biggest controversies. The same fire that won him 4 Stanley Cups also led to public meltdowns and questionable decisions. Roy didn't just play hockey, he changed it. He showed that mental toughness and swagger could be weapons. He proved that sometimes the best way to handle adversity is to fight back, even if it gets messy. Was Patrick Roy's intensity a blessing or a curse? Maybe it was both. Maybe that's what made him special. In a sport full of polite players and careful answers, Roy was raw emotion and pure competition. His crimes weren't really crimes at all. They were the natural result of caring too much, trying too hard, and refusing to accept anything less than perfection. In hockey, that's not a weakness. That's what champions are made of. Patrick Roy's story isn't about the mistakes he made. It's about the barriers he broke and the standards he set. He showed us that greatness isn't always pretty, but it's always unforgettable. If Patrick Roy's incredible story surprised you, smash that like button and subscribe for more hockey legends. Drop a comment below. Was Roy a loose cannon or a misunderstood genius? Let us know what you think.